Are you overprocessed, losing your hair, and looking for a new therapist? Well, the Stylist chair is where client confessions and declarations are made. The place where confusion is detangled, new shades of confidence is created, smudges are cleansed away, and edges are relaxed. Most importantly, it's the place where we gently cut away our unhealthy past and start the process of restoration, all in an effort to prevent further damage. My name is LYNN Thatcher, and I am your creative stylist, restorative hair care specialist, and confidence coach. While creating a culture that cultivates the mind, body, and soul, I advocate for being intentional in your pursuit of confidence and personal development. I specialize in unwrapping the layers of low self-esteem and depositing high volumes of confidence. Welcome to your scheduled appointment at From the Stylist Chair podcast, the place where we are building confidence one head at a time. The salon is now open and all walk-ins are welcome. So come on in and don't forget to grab a towel just in case you get some water in your eyes. Have a seat in my chair and let's talk hair. Hello and welcome to your weekly appointment at From the Stylist Chair podcast, the place where we are building confidence one head at a time. The salon is now open and all walk-ins are welcome. I am your host, LYNN Thatcher, and joining me today is a very special young lady. Introduce yourself.
My name is Amari.
Your name is Amari? Okay. Amari Thatcher is joining me today. So, how old are you, Amari?
6.
You are 6. What grade you in?
First grade.
First grade? Okay. So, Amari is my niece. She is a fellow creative, artist, dancer, and fashionista. She is extremely intelligent and definitely a girl after my own heart. If you watched my last episode titled Tenderheaded, I mentioned that my clientele doesn't really consist of kids too much these days. However, when I do have a child of any age in my chair, I always just enjoy the conversations and when they are able to actually express themselves. So this episode is special for several different reasons, not just because Amari is my niece, but in episode 2, which is titled My Hair Appointment, I briefly mentioned that my great grandparents, which is would have been Amari's great grandparents, were business owners here in Cincinnati. And they actually started their business in the month of March in 1933 during the Great Depression. So, as I turn my pages, because if you watched the last episode, you know that I talked about how I have to have notes. So, Amari is she is a Thatcher, and so today we are celebrating our lineage. So both of Amari's parents, as well as mine, are creatives as well, and they have their own businesses. So we both have a very rich history of creativity and artistic abilities. I am a 4th generation business owner, and Amari is a 5th generation business owner in the making. And so, what were you selling during the holidays? What were you making and selling? You don't remember?
No.
You were making bracelets. Remember?
Yeah.
This is what you was selling, and you made this one for me, and I sold it. So Amari is the next generation of business owners, and so this episode is also special because we get to actually close out Women's History Month, and she and I get to make history together by sharing this time on From the Stylist Chair podcast. And as she grows into a young woman, she will have this moment in time to refer back to. So I have a lot of notes. I'm not sure if this is going to end up being a lengthy podcast or not. However, it's some good stuff in here. So let's get to it. So Amari and I, we have been taking some art classes lately. We have. Have you been enjoying the art classes?
Yes.
What kind of stuff have you been making?
Trees.
Trees, okay.
Drawers.
Okay. So what did you use to make your trees?
I forgot.
You forgot? So when we were putting the little treasure chest together, we used like some old buttons and some scrap paper and some ribbons, right? Yeah. And so what I liked about those art projects is just being able to use what you already have, right? And so, and basically that's what creativity is. Creativity, I mentioned that both of us are very artistic. We come from creative backgrounds. And so creativity is just using what you already have and not really worrying about too much about what you don't have, right? So, how did we end up putting this particular episode together? So Amari had a school project, and the project is called the Oratory Festival. And the Oratory Festival, they have to talk about different social issues, right? Right? So she chose to talk about natural hair and hair discrimination, right? And so that's a topic that we love for all the obvious reasons. And so to prepare for her project, she read a book. And so what book did you read?
Hair Love.
Hair Love by Matthew Cherry. So can you tell me something about the book?
She was trying to make her hair special because there was something going on at her school.
Oh, so she had something going on in school, and so she wanted her hair to look special. And so what was happening when she was trying to make her hair look special?
She was trying to help her dad, and the dad said, "Can I help too?"
Okay, and so did he help her?
Yes.
And so what happened?
And so they put a puff in her hair. Well, they twisted it at first, and then they put a puff in it.
They put a puff in it, okay. And so were they able to get it done on the first try?
No.
No, what happened?
Well, they had to keep trying until they got it right.
Okay, so it was a little frustration going on at first, right? Until they just kept doing it, and they tried until they got it right. So her daddy was able to help her to come up with this special hairdo that she needed for school. She wanted her hair to look a certain way. So does your daddy ever help you with your hair?
Yes.
He does?
Yes.
So do you ever try to comb your own hair?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? So what's your favorite hairstyle?
A bun.
A bun? That's your favorite hairstyle? Okay. You got any other ones that you like?
Yes.
What?
1 puff and 2 puffs.
1 puff and 2 puffs. That's my favorite too. Before my hair was locked, I wore 1 puff all the time. You like any other ones?
No.
No? No? Okay. So, I know when I asked you, do you remember when we were going to the art class and I asked you what kind of hairstyles you liked, and you said braids?
With beads.
Braids with beads, that's right. And so, why do you like the beads?
Because they're colorful.
You like them because they're colorful. That's fancy. I like beads, but honey, you got me with the colorful. I'll stick to my silver and gold beads. I don't get to put the rest of them in there, but that's pretty fancy. You like beads because they're colorful. All right. And so, what do you like about the braids?
I do not know.
You don't know?
No.
What'd you tell me? You said you like the braids because when mommy takes them loose,
It's curled.
that's what you told me. You said you like it because it's curly and it gives you a whole nother hairstyle. See, that's why you a girl after my own heart, 2 in 1, right? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about hair history, right? And so, what is one way that we express our creativity? Is it through our hair?
Yes.
Yes, we do. And so, to our listening audience, so in the African culture, beads actually had a meaning. So we wear beads now because we're, as Amari said, they're colorful, they're pretty, you know, they give us that extra accessory in our hair. But in the African culture, beads actually meant something, right? And so in your project, you're going to be talking about African culture a little bit, not necessarily about what I'm talking about, but you're going to be talking about African culture, right? And so when a woman was getting married, she would put beads in her hair, and that represented a wish for those 2 people that were getting married and a blessing for wealth. And so braids has always been an art form or a way that we actually expressed our creativity. And so not just as a piece of artwork, but braids were actually used. Do you know what a map is?
No.
So a map is, so let's just say daddy didn't know how to get to my house from your house. So he would pull up a map, and the map would show him which way to go to get from your house to my house, right? So in the African culture, they would braid their hair and make maps in their hair so that they would know how to get free from slavery. They would feel their way basically to freedom. That's a whole nother message right there. But they would use the maps to get free, right?
Yes.
And so, tell us about what happened during the 15th and 16th century.
Africans were transported to North America, and upon their arrival, they were forced to shave their heads to erase their culture.
Yeah, so once they were brought to North America, they were forced to shave their heads. And do you know the reason why they had them do that?
No.
So they did that because they was trying to erase their culture. They were trying to erase who we were as Black people, right? And so, you know, they wanted to dehumanize us, and they wanted to just take away our identity. And so our hair is a part of who we are, right? So it's a part of what?
Our culture.
That's right. It's a part of our culture and our identity. And so shaving their heads was a form of discrimination. And so do you know what discrimination is?
It's somebody who's saying something mean to your hair.
Saying something mean to you about your hair. Yes, when somebody treats you different because of the texture of your hair, or if they don't like the way that you look or whatever, that's discrimination. And so if you heard a kid like making fun of another kid because of how their hair looked, would you say something?
Yes.
What would you say?
I would say,
you would tell them we're all different, right? We're all different. We all don't look the same, right? And that's discrimination, that we shouldn't discriminate against people just because they don't look like we do, that we should treat everybody the same, right? And so we know that there has been kids who have been not only discriminated amongst each other, but just even from, people in authority. Kids have been suspended from school because of the texture of their hair, forbidden to play sports because of the texture of their hair. So we advocate against discrimination, right? And so, as you may have also heard in our very first episode with Tiana, we talked about, the episode was titled I Have an Issue with My Hair. And we talked about towards the end how, our hair has had to be legislated. And because our hair has been said to be, what did you tell me about natural hair?
Has oftentimes been seen as unprofessional, unattractive, and unclean.
Right. And so as a result of this legislation, we now have what's called the Crown Act. Tell me what the Crown Act is.
Creating a respectful and open world for natural hair was created in 2019 to drive change and end race-based hair discrimination. There are now 20 states that have passed this act.
Right, 20 states have now passed the act, so we still have quite a ways to go. And so it's just interesting that we've had to pass a law in order for other people to be okay with how God made us and the creativity that He gifted in us, and that all of that has had to be called into question. So as we get to the other side of this whole hair care journey, no pun intended, who created the first hair straightening formula and hair comb?
Madam C.J. Walker.
Madam C.J. Walker. And so tell me a little bit about Madam C.J. Walker.
She was the first African-American self-made millionaire who invented the first hair straightener formula and hot comb.
Yeah, and so she created these homemade hair products and other beauty products. And Madam C.J. Walker was the child of a former slave. She built her empire close to our neck of the woods in Indianapolis, Indiana. And so she was an advocate for Black women and business, Black women in business, and she loved the arts. So how be it that we talking about Madam C.J. Walker somebody who helped pave the way for somebody like me as a hairstylist, but also just as an advocate for women and women's rights and black women in business and all of the things concerning me and you and the things that you will eventually be when you grow up, right? Right. And so she was the first female millionaire, as Amari mentioned, and she also employed 100,000 black women. Now, how phenomenal is that? Amazing. She created a lot of jobs for a lot of people. So when we aspire to have our own businesses and make our own money, it's not just about us making money, it's about us being able to help other people to be able to make money and live, and so that they can do the things that they love to do too, right? All right. So as a fellow beauty industry professional, as a business owner, as an advocate and a lover of the arts, Mano C.J. Walker's story actually spoke to me because hair was her passion. It was her calling. The beauty industry was her passion. And so that spoke to her purpose. And so she believed in herself and her dream. And so that spoke to her confidence. She created a product in the midst of a recession, right? And so she didn't give up on her dream. That spoke to her not giving up on her dream. She attached her life story to her product, which speaks to the why behind her drive and why she did what she did. And I believe that our great-grandparents, right, walked out these same steps, which is why me and you are here today, right? And so we're the products of perseverance and over 90 years of business experience and influence. And so before we end, you're trying to hold it together, huh? Before we end, do you have a question for me?
2 questions.
2 questions. Come on with it.
How old were you when you started to embrace your natural hair?
Oh, girl, that's a good one. How old was I when I started to embrace my natural hair? Well, I don't know if I was quite as young as you are. I mean, I don't really remember. So when I was your age, I used to wear my hair braided a lot, like you do. I wear braids a lot. I had other hairstyles, where it would be straightened, and, I've had some styles we can probably talk about later because you probably won't know what I'm talking about, but we had like a jerry curl. You ever heard of jerry curl?
No.
No? Yeah. We've had relaxers and all of the things, but I do remember that when I was in high school, all through high school, I wear my hair braided a lot. So, I mean, I guess you could say that was me embracing my natural hair. So I was about maybe 13 or 14 years old. So, almost double your age right now. That's when I started to embrace my natural hair, probably as a teenager.
What would you tell a client if she is sad about the way her hair looks or other people don't like her hair?
Well, that is a good question too. What would I say to a client that is sad about the way her hair looks or if she doesn't like the way her hair looks? Was that the question? Okay. So I would first ask her, why is she sad? I would want to find out, what makes her feel bad. And sometimes people will say things to us about our hair that they don't like. I've had friends tell me that they don't like my hair. And you want to know what I tell them? You sure you want to know what I tell them?
Yes.
I tell them, I didn't do my hair for you, I did it for me. Is that a little sassy or what? No, that's just being straight up, huh? Yeah, so I tell them, when I did my hair this morning, I did it this way because I like it this way and not because somebody else likes it. So I would ask that client, do you like your hair this way? If somebody's making fun of it and they say yes, then I'm like, that's all that matters. If you like it, then you go out with your head up and you rock out, right? And then if you don't like it, if the client says they don't like it, then I say, let's find something that's gonna make you feel good. Let's find a hairstyle that you do like, that's gonna make you feel confident, and we can still rock out. All right, did I answer your question?
Yes.
All right. And so, I didn't even tell y'all what the name of this episode was called. The name of this episode is titled, I Love My Hair. And so, I Love My Hair represents a lot of things. It represents the relationship between daddy and daughter. A daddy, learning the things that, a lot of men don't know much about women and their hair and the things it takes to comb their hair. And so a daddy and daughter kind of going through that journey together helps to build relationship between that daddy and daughter. I Love My Hair represents community. And Madam C.J. Walker, she created community as the result of her beauty products and all of the things that she built within this beauty industry. And so as an advocate, also in the community, that's what I Love My Hair also represents. It represents the Crown Act, the freedom to be able to be you. Community means to be in alignment. So although we are all different and we have different textures, and textures for me can represent purpose. We all have a different texture, we have a different purpose, but we have to be in alignment. We have to be in community in order to influence change. Our purpose and our why, our self-talk, our actions must all be in alignment. So we have to work together. Madam C.J. Walker's mantra was, be a Walker girl and change the whole world. And so as for us, being that the name Thatcher means one who diligently works to build, I say, be a Thatcher girl and build 1,000 so that we can put 10,000 to flight as we fight against low self-esteem and hair discrimination. So thank you, Amari, for joining me today on From the Stylist Chair podcast, where we are building confidence one head at a time. Did you enjoy being on here today?
Yes.
Are you absolutely sure? All right. In a couple years, you think you'll come back and join me? Yes? All right. So thank you all for joining us at From the Stylist Chair podcast, and we hope to see you again next week at your regularly scheduled appointment. See you next time.